closer to me? Okay. You want it closer? Sure. Right. Okay. So ours has been a journey of victimhood where we are just victimized all the time. And one does not know why we are victimized. Firstly, it would seem that people want to believe that when we arrived at the RAF, everything was fine. And there can never be truth to that. There can never be truth to that. RAF was just repurposed into a looting vehicle that people could do lawfully. When one law firm could easily make 1.2 billion a year, it must tell you a story. When this thing is busy collapsing. But I'm going to take you through this thing because I think South Africans must know what we deal with. We are dealing with corruption, and this corruption permeates itself right across the legal fraternity. But quite unfortunately as well, our judiciary comes from the legal fraternity. So the question you must ask yourself is, when is this Damascus moment when this plaintiff attorney or panel attorney of the RAF suddenly becomes a judge and suddenly becomes honest? We must ask ourselves that question. And I'm going to show you that there is no Damascus moment. There are people that have done that, and we have got evidence. And people will always say, when we talk about the judiciary, no, must give us evidence. We give them evidence, they ignore it. I'm going to show you that they do ignore it. We write to them, and they want us to go to the JSC so that it must take another 5 years, and they do nothing about it. In fact, it was very interesting when I was watching this week, when J.P. Mbenenge gave a view. He says he's the only one in the judiciary that was suspended before he appeared before the tribunal. Ordinarily, they must wait for the tribunal, and if there is a process to remove him, then he's then suspended. He was decrying the judiciary and the way it has dealt with certain issues pertaining to him. But let's go through this thing. And I think it's important that we say this, or I say this. Dying is not one thing I'm afraid of. I've never been scared of that thing, of dying. In fact, in my life, people will tell you that I don't wish for eternal life. It is not just in what I believe. So I know I'm not going to live forever, so there's no problem. If anything happens to me today, tomorrow, or any other day, because now they've leaked my security detail to everyone in South Africa to know how many bodyguards, how many cars, and all those things. They think they're threatening me. I'm not scared. It doesn't puzzle me, and I'm not fast. I really don't care whether one day they will come and through a bullet of an assassin, I'll lose my life. For me, it doesn't matter. It matters that we stick to the truth and do what is in the best interest of South Africa. Now, I'm going to take you this table of content quite quickly. I'm going to step off this suspension because I think my suspension, I've talked about it. All you need to know is that I'm on suspension because I was not at Scopa. But when I was supposed to be at Scopa, they had placed me on special leave. So they placed me on special leave on the 27th of May. They go to Scopa on the 28th. They then come back on the 3rd and say, we are placing you on suspension for not coming to Scopa on the day we had placed you on special leave. Absolute nonsense. But some judge in South Africa believes very strongly that they were right. Now, there are lies. People lie and the line. I'm gonna play you tapes. I'm gonna play you tapes. I'm gonna play you 2 tapes, audio, and I'm gonna play you a video of judges, because they seem to want to ignore it and all that. And in there, I'm going to show you that one of the judges is now at the SCA. And I'm going to also show you that there are people that now have been promoted. When we complain to them, they did nothing about these complaints that we have. We'll show you. They look for evidence. We'll give them the evidence.
For my sentiments in writing community management on their students and
this is the chairperson of the RAF when we delivered our Q4 performance.
It's not an easy task working in an organization where everything is questioned, where everything that you do, is not clearly supported. So that kind of management, I know that it's not easy. You make a lot of sacrifices. Personal, I sacrifice the time, the families, and then I was telling somebody that sometimes we get calls, very before 6 o'clock in the morning. And then but then anyway, sometimes I trigger this because we check the talking. But that's a major part. But I can imagine executives. I know I used to say to the previous board secretary that you guys don't have a life. But then we do appreciate the overall performance and the commitments that you show and the results always, really make us proud at the end of the day, despite all the challenges. So one of us is sitting at 85%. Last year was 84%, yeah. And I think this year when we go through it in detail in terms of this reporting, it is happening. There's 4 times and no entry, but I love the CEO to cover it in his report. So thank you, members. There's no questions or comments. Shall we then approve the performance review report for Colorful in terms of the AEP?
Can you comment from me as a board member now to management 100%?
Okay, for my sentiments in writing community management on their students and discipline to ensure that we get to where we are sitting at 85.1%. And it's not an easy task working in an organization where everything is questioned, where everything that you do.
This is on the 29th of April.
So that kind of management, I know that it's not easy. You make a lot of sacrifices. Personal, I sacrifice the time, the families, and then I was telling somebody that sometimes we get calls, very before 6 o'clock in the morning. And then
Let's go to where do I move to the next one?
but then anyway, sometimes I trigger this check.
Okay, sorry. Let me just play this one now.
Any questions for Mr. Nyama on the 2024-2025 PR reports?
This is on the 27th of May, the day I was placed on special leave.
And while we're waiting, I'd like to echo, I think we've done the report for Mr. Nyama, you correctly stating that we really truly appreciate the leadership, CEO's leadership, Mr. Letsoalo, and really leading this organization under very extreme circumstances in the last 5 years. We are really proud of completing the past 5-year strategy with such outstanding results. I mean, we're sitting at about 85% overall average performance over the 5-year period. And really, it's not easy to achieve this type of performance, but you've made it possible, and not easily, but really we truly appreciate your leadership and all the executives really that have been behind you. You made us proud. We're still proud of you. And board members, that's all I can say on this. I've said it in our Q4 meeting. Yes, our draft APR, I don't see
So the question becomes, and this was during the meeting, it was one of the last items on the agenda, our APR, which is Annual Performance Report of 2024-2025. We have achieved 85%. And I am celebrated as someone that pushed people even when they did not want to do work, including the board. And then that's the day I was put on leave. The story goes that there is a lot of things that are going on, and one of the things he's going to see is this capture that has engulfed the RAF. So I challenged this thing on I think everyone would have seen what happened on the 11th of June in the PCOT. I'm put on leave on the 3rd of June, no, on suspension. A lie is told that me and Mr. Modiba here were told about our suspensions. We had it with all of you at the same time. So when you were watching that PCOT hearing and you heard them saying in a presentation, we decided to change this thing because it was not legally sound and put him on suspension, I was hearing it with you at the same time. I only received my letter at 9:25 of that day. But fast track to the 11th of June, I have presented myself to Scopa, to PCOT, and I've made my points there, and I think we agreed that I'm going to also put it in writing, which is something that I've been doing. Since the 11th of June, I don't know what's going on. I've been told that I'm on suspension, and that some, I don't know what they call it an inquiry or whatever they call it, will start. It has not started, nothing has been said to me so far. All I know is that they have decided to strategically leak my security detail. We went to court. When we went to court, I said to the court, there are documents that we can give you, but please just make sure that they are seen in camera by the judge. And then in the answering affidavit, the chair has decided to say how many assets I have and all that, deliberately trying to do that. So what are the facts? The facts are that on the 9th of June 2025, the audit committee clearly indicated that the concerns regarding the deponent's unlawful actions. So the chair has lied under oath, and I've opened the case. You'll see it is Brooklyn 432/6/2025. I have opened that case of perjury because she has perjured herself. There is a Judge Mushwana there that has decided to do funny things. He spent most of the time arguing on behalf of the RAF, for whatever reason. He believes that that's the case. What is strange about South African law is that when we go back and ask for leave to appeal, we must ask the same guy. We must ask him for leave to appeal his case. Absolutely strange. Quite nonsensical in my view anyway. But then the chairperson changed her views 3 times about when did they appoint the lawyers. She firstly said it was on the 9th. No, she said it was on the 27th. She said, but on the 27th, I was not on suspension. So how did that happen? In our reply affidavit. She then wrote another affidavit to say, no, it happened on the 9th. We said, no, you could not have been on the 9th because you were already communicating with us on the 4th. She changed it again. She said, it happens on the 30th. 3 times. So they don't know when they took this decision. Judge Mushwana then decides that he's going to buy that idea without any confirmatory affidavit from anyone from the board. I had confirmatory affidavits from board member that says, no, there were never minutes on the 27th of May. There were never minutes on the 9th of June. When she realizes that the confirmatory affidavit came, she then changed it to the 30th of June. So these things were simply ignored. My case was moved from the 14th of June, sorry, yeah, was it no, 17th of June to the 24th by the Deputy Judge President under the guise that no, this thing has got public interest, it might be argued longer, move it from this day to the 24th. And we agreed that it must be moved to the 24th. On the 24th, we arrived there. It had moved because there was a judge on the 17th. It was taken away from that judge, given to the judge on the, I think it was the 17th, then it was given to another judge the Friday before the 24th. And then that judge was now on Monday removed. On Tuesday when we arrived, the judge did not know that he was no longer on the case. He was removed and then Mushwana was put there. We changed the court 3 times. What is strange is that in the judgment of Mushwana, he's now saying I must pay the cost of the 24th or of the 17th, when it is the judge president that does that. So the judge president must pay those costs because he is the one that caused that delay. It's not me. No one, and he must tell me where those costs are going to come from. He must tell. If he is saying cost must be paid as wasted for the 17th, he must go and talk to his own boss. And let's see what they are going to do about it. But we have appealed. We'll deal with it. We have given him 38 grounds of appeal for this upset judgment that he has done. But I think one of the things that Sefotle mentions is we are dealing with something bigger. And I'm going to show you that we are dealing with something bigger. You hear people talking about, no, there's a liability at the RAF. The liability at the RAF is 300 million. They are hiding 300 billion. They are hiding the liability. There's no such a thing. The reality is that we are dealing with previously advantaged individuals who had cornered the RAF, and they continue to do that, and they buy people. They buy people, and I'm saying it without any flinching, and they must actually sue me. They buy people. They tried to buy me. I refused. How do they buy you? They take you to fishing. I refused fishing. They have been trying to get me to every other thing. If they want to argue, I can issue that. I have got that. Let's go fishing. No, my brother, no, I don't do that thing. But it would seem that they used to do it. Because if you look at the Malamet Commission of 1992, you will see that, in fact, the monies that were collected in the fuel levy were paid to a private company. It's not me, it's Malamet. The report says it is surprising, given that the MMF is a privatized company, not a government department, and the government merely collects a levy for the MMF. We are funding this company. The question is, it was in private hands. Who was owning it? It's 1992. Our dispensation was 1994. Now, during that time, Melamed also tells us that there was a strange thing about acceptance of gifts and proper benefits. That gifts and other benefits are given by assessors, agents, and attorneys to staff members of the MMF. This private company was getting this, apparently as a permissible practice. It's not me, it's Melamed. Go and look at the report, right? What then happens? These people that are in the MMF are then absorbed in 1996 into the RAF. Some of them come from these insurance companies, but in the main, people at the MMF are absorbed into RAF. So this thing of trips to Sun City, hunting trips, boat trips continues unabated. So this thing of corruption is black and nah, those people are not black. Go and check Melamed, who was interviewed. You're not going to find a black person there. Now, Suchwell also, there are 7 commissions of inquiry into this thing since its inception in 1946. And every time there are recommendations, they are never taken through. We are the only management that took them through. And hence, maybe we are outside. Now, the issue around foreigners It's there in such a way. So there must be a limitation. Meaning, if there is, for instance, an emergency, this person must be stabilized like they do in other countries and they must go home. But you must be here legally. Right? Must be here legally. That's a fact. People can fight about that all they want. That's a fact. What are you going to find? Most of these foreigners go to white firms. You're going to get a shock of your life because a lot of them that say no, the money is due to us is that, and you'll see it with why they are the ones that are actually fighting this cause. Because what do? Once they get that money, they keep it. Imagine an illegal foreigner saying you owe me. What is he going to do? Take you to the police station? He don't want to do that. So they do that. They know that they can exploit these people. But then let's talk to the real issue of what is this thing. There is a phantom liability, what we call a fake liability that is formulated. But you see it where? And you are going to see it. I'm going to show you. You must remember this part because you are going to see what RAF says to finance to National Treasury. There is a policy position paper in 2011 issued by the then Minister of Transport. I don't know who wrote that thing. I doubt he understood what the context of each was. But the reality is this. What they wanted to do was to separate two things. A thing called RAPS, which is Road Accident Benefit Scheme, and the RAF. The RAF's liabilities were going to be paid. Listen to what they say. They say, RAF is presently funded in the fuel levy imposed on fuel sold, but it will be discontinued. And a new fuel levy will be allocated to RAPSA when established. So this money will go to the agency, Road Accident Benefit Scheme Agency. And then listen to this part, which is going to be important for you to understand. Provision will be made through the fiscus to address the accumulated unfunded liability of the RAF. They are saying the budget is going to be made. They will get a budget to pay for this. This one will start from a clean slate. It's like your own father saying, you can take as many debts as possible. In the next 10 years, I'm going to pay all of them. That's a perverse incentive that you must just go and bulk up liabilities. But they didn't do that. They created them when they didn't have them. The Financial Services Board in 2011 says this about the RAF, that it is actually fundamentally a social benefit fund. And it says this, that the RAF business model is not based on insurance principles, as premium payable does not directly correlate with the benefits provided. This thing, they are taking it. But if you look at it, the IMF as well says that the net implicit obligations for future social security benefits are not recognized as liabilities. It's not us. If you don't believe us, believe them. But at the same time, there is this thing within where suddenly the AG is saying change this thing, account like an insurer, and do all those things. Why they are saying that? ASB is saying the same. ASB comes and says you must account like an insurer, and that happens. And what happens? The liability starts to balloon. These liabilities go up to 302 billion. But you will see it at the end where they say the approach is not taken in main tables because it is considered that social security schemes, other than employment-related pension schemes, do not result in contractual liability for government. That is, there's no direct link between the contributions made and the benefits eventually payable. So what are they saying? They are saying the state can't say, because we are going to all of us turn 60 at some point, they put this in the liability in their books. It's absolute nonsense to say that. So what then happens, and you are going to see it here, look at that. This is in 2025. In 2020, we look at the liability and we reduce it by 304 billion from 320 billion using IPSAS standard called IPSAS 42? No. What is interesting, we are still sitting with that liability in our books. 4 years we have given the National Treasury. National Treasury, this is our liability, and you will see it. That liability, they are saying it is going to grow to about 368 in 24-25. And we don't have that liability in our books as we sit even today. But it's still there. What is interesting, somewhere in when we changed this thing, in 2020, the IMF then raises this issue. After the RAF was formulated in 1996 and says, we think you must change the way the RAF is classified. Who are they telling? They are telling the public sector classifications committee. And the RAF is reassessed again. And they come back and they say, no, RAF is a social security fund. Now, look at the fiscal risk statement. It says that this thing is going to grow to 422.6 billion in 2027. So what happens? We arrive in RAF in 2019, as Sefotle says. We are approached by a guy called Ngwakumotaloa, who says, I've been asked by Discovery to give you this thing. What is that? An offer. To close this liability, give us 250 billion. And then we'll focus on the liability, we are going to focus on RAPs. And I said, what nonsense is this? How does private sector give the state 70 billion? This does not make sense. It means the liability is not worth 320. And indeed, as I'm telling you, we went back, we did the actual liability, and the actual liability was sitting at less than 20 billion. We reduced that liability by 304 billion. And that's exactly what they were going to do, because there's no liability there. We would have signed with them. They would have the 250 billion. We would have committed to the 250 billion that does not exist, and they would have applied this and then came back and made that whole money. You see it with what? Today, we then did a thing called the Road Accident Fund Amendment Bill, and you will see the complaints of an entity called APRAF, Association for Protection of Road Accident Victims. It's just lawyers in there. There's not even a single road accident victim in there. Headed by a Gertner, formulated by him. And we are going to see how he has captured, some even in Scopa. Okay? So, we have this thing of this liability that is sitting there. There is no such a thing. That liability does not exist, South Africans. It doesn't. Now, we did this and we move forward. We write to National Treasury, why are you doing this? They have not answered us until today. And we are saying, and every time you talk about this liability, no, withdraw this thing from the Constitutional Court. Why? Because people want to go back. And when they failed, they realize we are failing. They go back, they remove the Road Accident Fund Amendment Bill. They go back and they say, let's go back to that RAPSA thing of separating this thing into two. Because we were saying, you don't have to separate into two. This is RAF. We are going to work on it. You are saying it's not workable. You are saying it will be at 54 billion. We will reduce this over time. That's how we took the 50 billion away from the lawyers, and we took that money back into the fund. And that's why he's talking about 8 billion that we have saved. Here is the presentation by the AGSA. If you don't believe us, believe them. They say, a material asserted on going concern was reported as an entity as solvency challenges with liability exceeding assets. Management disclosed the uncertainty as well as mitigating factors in the annual financial statement. Consequently, we concluded that the going concern basis is appropriate. We arrived there, they were asking for letters of comfort. Today the AG say, we conclude that the going concern basis of accounting is appropriate. Meaning, we are dealing with it as a going concern. When we arrived, there were going concern issues. Right. You see it. 8.4 billion deficit reduced to 1.6 billion in that year, 23-24. They are auditing now. We are quite confident that this thing will come even lower, because that's what we've been doing, right? We've been doing very well in turning around the RAF. There is the performance of RAF. When we arrived, it was sitting at 57%. It's not us. If you don't believe us, believe the AG. This was presented to Scopa on the 11th of March, right? And I hear the chairperson of Scopa going and saying, oh, what does an investment, chief investment officer do in RAF? You are just running around managing a bank account. You heard how extensive this thing is. People must stop talking about things they know nothing about. We want their qualifications now. We are sick and tired of this thing, right? So you have got young boys wet behind their ears being put to do the work that this man has done over 20 years, simply because they are white. They are not vetted, and no one is making noise. Hey, where is the vetting? What vetting? What is vetting actually? People don't even understand the difference between screening and vetting. What is vetting? Because the vetting that happens in the state is vetting in terms of MIS, which is documents. Top secret. There's nothing top secret at RAF. Nothing top secret. In any event, we are prepared to be vetted. There's no problem. I have said we are prepared to even give you our bank account. We don't have a problem. No one pays us. We don't have a problem. We are not scared. Now, let's deal with the issue of judicial misconduct. Because, we keep on being told, no, you don't have evidence and all that. When we removed, and this is the issue about RAF, it's about this panel that people wanted. It took 3.8 billion a year from RAF. RAF used to pay 10.6 billion worth of legal costs. But I'm going to show you the capture of this judiciary and how indifferent they are when you start to say, but one of you is misbehaving. They close rank. I saw them yesterday closing rank, coming all of them. We have got correspondence between us, and then I'm going to show you. Today I'm just going to deal with only one matter about the panel. And I'm going to show you all the others of how they squeeze the system, they change the rules, they use directive to change rules so that we must have this problem that is at the RAF, and they want to come and say, no, these guys are creating a problem by not having the panel. And it went all the way to Constitutional Court, by the way. It is Mabunda versus the RAF. We trounced them all the way to the Constitutional Court. And the rationality of that decision was tested. It is only Yus Madondo, who is now at the SCA, that did not see that that was lawful. And I'm going to show you, because she used to own Yus Madondo Incorporated that was on the panel. But she sat there and did funny things. Let's go through it. So we present a matter in front of her that was brought by Fori Fisma, the very same issue around the panel and the way it is going to be dealt with, whether the SLA will expire and all that. So they bring this white law firm, Fori Fisma. Now, this thing was expiring on the 31st of May 2020. So we go to court somewhere in between. The judge had promised that by the 31st, we will have a judgment. Something strange happens. A law firm says to a judge, during the hearing of the matter, the need for the judgment to be delivered on the 31st of May 2020 received attention. This is on Sunday, the 31st of May 2020. But listen to this. We are acutely mindful of the practical pressures of the judiciary at the moment, particularly in light of the constraint imposed by a lockdown. In those circumstances, if it is for any reason not possible for the Honorable Judge Yus J to deliver a full judgment by today, The applicants respectfully request that an order be delivered today. Someone telling the judge that on a Sunday afternoon at 5:43 p.m.
Results I found online.
with reasons to follow thereafter. Someone is telling the judge what to do. But you are going to see what then happens. A very interesting phenomenon. It doesn't happen. So it means midnight, this thing lapses by a fraction of time. It simply expires. So this story that, no, they did away with the panel, no. It expired. Now on the 1st at 9:50 a.m., 10 to 10 in the morning, look at what happens from our own lawyers, Van Green and attorneys. We have been advised that the judgment will be sent to us after tea, isn't it? After tea. I don't know when tea is, but usually it's 11 o'clock in court, but after tea. But look at what happens. Aha! On the very same day, an overzealous somebody does something, takes this thing to us, all of us. How? 9:56, 6 minutes later. Remember this thing was sent at 9:50. At 9:56, 6 minutes later, the guy that asked for the order is given the order. Strangely, the counsel is also included. So there's a counsel called Etienne Labuscagni, who was the counsel, meaning the SC. This is the lawyer. We always work like this, in my understanding. You work, when things come back from court, they actually go through, the correspondence between the court is through your lawyers. It's not usually through counsel. But it's only the two of them that receive this thing. It's not copied to anyone else. But I'm going to show you something strange that happens. They say, kindly find attached the order in which the rest of the judgment will be sent later. That's exactly what he wanted. But he wanted it yesterday, they are bringing it today, 6 minutes after telling us that, no, this thing is going for tea. After tea. So it's being done. Interesting. The same, the secretary to Honorable Judge Hughes. There is the order. Strange. The order is not signed. The order is not signed. On that day of the 1st, we are inundated with social media. Someone overzealous, they showed him, leaks this thing, it's all in social media. Hey guys, have you got this order? No. Our lawyers say, have you got the order? No. Hey man, but the order is in there. The order is out there. But this order does not have a signature. Hi man, maybe these guys are wrong, man. Usually it must come on a letterhead, you know. It must come on a letterhead. It's an order. But no, it's true. This is the attachment that we have. But I want you to look at something. It's on page 33, if you look at it. It's on paragraph 84. Right? So, fast track on that day, around 4, we received the judgment. Bah! Look at the page. It's now signed. Page number 32. Paragraph number 88. Right? You see what's happening? On top of that, on that page, there are 2 sentences that are missing from the one that was running in social media. Let's go forward. Now, I've just shown you the difference between the two because I wanted to give you a sense of the two. Now, let's go forward. Aye man, this is something wrong. We discussed with our lawyers. They say, no, we can't write. They are scared. I say, I'm writing. What? I'm writing. We must put this for the record. Because the one day we will be asked to give evidence about judicial bias and corruption. One day. And if that day has arrived, it's today. So, here is the letter I write to Honorable Judge Mlambo, the JP of the division. and the Honorable Judge Pottery was the acting DJP at the time. And I say, I want clarity. I want clarity. My clarity was simple. I say, I had my own reservations. We had our own reservations about Use Madondo sitting over the matter, and we were told, no, she sold the law firm. So don't worry. So these guys actually sell law firms. Others give law firms to their nieces and nephews. And those law firms, apparently, they no longer have an interest in. When I take this thing and I give to my brother's son, how do I not have an interest in it? How is it even possible that I won't have any? I built the firm myself. Over years, I built it up. The day I go to the bench, I give it to my son. Or it's my son, because that's my brother's son is my son. So I give it to my son and I say, well, I've got no interest. We are told there's no interest. And we are saying to them, we explain what happened, what I was explaining to you. But we ask questions. We raise these issues I'm raising. We say, at a glance, there appears to be nothing suspect about that said email. However, on close observation, the following becomes apparent. 6 minutes later, page 33, paragraph 84, all these things that I've told you about. We say that to the judge president. Right? In 19 of that letter, we say, 19.1, how did the order find its way to Mr. Fourie and Lubuskachni at 9:56 in the morning, at least 6 minutes after we were informed that we will get the judgment after tea? Why was it sent only to the first applicant and not the other parties? Was this a draft order? And if it was, then how did the first applicant get a draft sent to them before the judgment or the order was finalized? Why was the order not on the court letterhead and unsigned? Why is the order now on page 32 and paragraph 88 and not page 33 and paragraph 84? If it was edited, who was responsible for the editing and when was this done? Was it before or after 9:56 on the 1st of June 2020? What did Mr. Fourie know when he requested that an order be delivered today with reasons to follow later? Unless you knew that you're going to win the case, why would you want the judge to deliver so quickly? Was he aware of the outcome and wanted to prevent the SLA terminating before the order, which ordered its extension, was delivered? Now, let me tell you a story. The judge delivers the judgment on the 1st of June and said, a contract that ended yesterday, I'm extending it. Absolutely ridiculous. And the SCA has said that. The SCA said that is ridiculous. Judge Colapen also saw the ridiculousness of it when we went for 18-4, I think it was. Is it common practice that applicants and any parties get draft judgments? Was there any communication between the Honorable Judge Yus Madondo and any of the parties in the intervening period between the hearing and the delivery of the judgment? Does Honorable Judge Yus Madondo have any relationship, personal or professional or personal, with any of the erstwhile panel attorneys, especially Yus Madondo Incorporated? Remember, that person was I think it was applicant number 50 or respondent number 50. And we had our own reservations. Now, I'm going to play you this thing. Because they blocked, I think when it was released, people that went underground, they blocked the face of the people that were talking. You would think we recorded them somewhere. Let me put it for the record. It was at a hearing of the RAF on a RAF Form 1 that was rejected. That was on an urgent basis in front of Judge Vuihlapi. And it's in open court. Remember, when you are online, the court is the virtual platform. So, this is What am I doing? You are recording yourself. Yeah. So, there it is. We are told judges never talk to each other. I don't know if it was during the Scopa case or not, but we are told all these things. That there they are. The very same judge, by the way, that did what was done on the 1st of June. On that, then that's what happens. Now, let's step off the judiciary. Let's deal with issues of repurposing and weaponizing state institutions for purpose of getting rid of some of us. Okay? So, for the SIU to come to the road accident fund, I was instrumental in it. It was when we found out that there was a project Senza. By the way, the service provider in project Senza is MedScheme, the very one that was found to be doing racial profiling, I think on Monday. In project Senza. We can't investigate it further, and the idea was that let's give it to SIU to investigate further because they've got other powers. And there were others that were there, including this 1.2 billion. By the way, when we arrived at the panel was supposed to be changed, and they were going to charge us 4 rands per page for the document they were going to give us in copies, and that was going to cost us 1.3 billion. We had to remove that thing. It didn't make sense why 4 rands a page. It didn't make sense, but we did that. So those are things that must be investigated by the SIU. We agreed, and we agreed with the SIU. We ended up with a thing called a letter of engagement, where they said this is how we are going to investigate and all that. But at some point, the SIU starts developing some fun tendencies we don't understand. Firstly, they keep on going to Scopa. Now remember, we don't realize Scopa is already somewhere amongst them are captured. Then we say, no, it's okay. They go, we ask them, but what is, no, we must report to Parliament. No, but Scopa does not deal with those matters, by the way. You report to the president, go and read your own act. No, we disagree. I said, let's leave them, it's okay. We didn't know that will come to bite us because they went. They claim that when we present these things, we never put names of people. That's fine. So what then happens? Somewhere along the way, a lot of other things happen. But the most interesting one was this letter. This letter comes from the Minister of Transport. Out of the blue, man. I mean, this is what happens. So on the 27th of February, the board agrees to my reappointment. On the 29th, I think, of April, they approved the REMCO submission on the motivation. On the 14th of May, the 360 gets finalized, which is, well, stakeholders were supposed to comment apparently about my performance and whether I'm the right person or whatever they were asked to do, the 360. Then, on the 27th of May, they were supposed to finalize that. But guess what happens? On the, I think the 16th of May, after this finalization of the 360, a letter comes. You must read this letter. It says allegations of hindrance or interference with the investigation of the SIU. We had been worried about the SIU because they kept on saying, no, but you are not giving us information. So what information? Who's not giving you information? And they kept on just making noise about this thing. Then we heard from the grapevine, they want to come and raid your offices, so they are preparing. The aim is actually to come and embarrass you with a raid. So they are preparing. We said, no, we engage them. Tell us exactly what you mean. You don't have information, we'll give you all the information. So they see it's not working. So they go somewhere, they start talking about this thing of hindrance. Listen to this. The minister as well. She says, kindly be advised that it has come to my attention that, listen to the next sentence, there are some allegations of some form of hindrance or interference with the investigation of the SIU on the RAF matters by some executive and some staff members of RAF. I'm adored. Well, what is that? It has come to her attention that there are some allegations of some form of hindrance. So it doesn't say some hindrance, no, some form of hindrance. What is that? So this thing, on the 20th of May, the board sits and looks at it and says, we don't know what the minister means. Maybe we must ask her, is it SIU saying that? Is it Scopa? Who is saying this? Because she just say, it has come to my attention that there is some sort of allegations of some form of hindrance. Innocently, we say, maybe the minister is just misled. We don't know. We don't know by who. But listen to this. The chairperson is alerted to this kind of behavior so that you may warn the executives and the staff to refrain from such conduct as they may face suspension or disciplinary hearing or criminal prosecution should these allegations be proved to be true. Remember, we are the ones that called SIU. We know those things. We call them. We implored on Minister Mbalula to ask the president to sign this thing, this proclamation, because we thought it's important that we do that. And we can't, there's no way. But here's the letter that we received. Remember I said on the 14th of May, this thing was finalized. Now you see, look at this one. On the 20th, we write a letter. But you see, when we write, the letter is written on the 22nd. We meet on the 20th. On the 22nd, the RAF writes a letter. And in, I think, 3.4 of that, it decries the fact that the SIU is not answering. It has been a month. And they are telling people we are hindering. When they have not even responded to us, they say, I refer to your letter dated 24 April. It's on the 23rd of May. This is people that are hindering, but they are not answered. Okay? Look at this. So they then answer. They say, the investigation is currently at an advanced stage, including the process to grant the affected parties the right of reply. Based on further consideration of the current stage of the investigation, we are of the view that presenting to the RAF board before the right of reply process is finalized would not be prudent. It's them, it's not us. They then say we will consider the request to present to RAF board after completion of the investigation process, including the right of reply process to affected parties. Look at 15, very important. Should you require any further information or clarification, please don't hesitate to contact the SIU Chief Operations Officer, Mr. El Kheto. Remember my suspension? On the 3rd of June. Remember my special leave? On the 27th of May. Watch what happens. Notwithstanding those provisions, on the 1st of June, people love Sundays, on a Sunday, at 15:12. Now, the chairperson of the board is now writing to the head of the SIU. Remember, it's not that person that is in 15. She was told that if you want any further thing to do with this, correspond with this person. She now corresponds with someone else. She says, Scopa meeting best reference. But remember, she received a letter on the 23rd of May saying, we are not going to do this. But what it says is, given the tight deadlines imposed by Scopa, the Minister of Transport on RAF board to act and respond back on these matters, we need assistance from your office to respectively request that you furnish us with a detailed preliminary investigation report with specific findings on critical aspects of this investigation, not later than the end of business tomorrow, the 2nd of June. How? These ones that took a month not to respond. There. They respond. 2nd of June. But you must remember, these people on the 3rd of June, they are called to PCOT. They know they are appearing in front of the Portfolio Committee on Transport. They then abandon the prudence. They give them all these things. They are looking for charges. They can't find them. Okay? Now, here is another one. Enter Scopa. Because Scopa has always been the one that fights with us. Why are we fighting with Scopa and everything? You see those people there? The second, I think on your, it must be on your left, is Gertner. The third guy is a Scopa member. The fourth short guy is a Scopa member. The one on the right is a Scopa member. This thing is on a Gertner. It's a victory photo. And then he says, I am proud of the part we played in bringing the inquiry of Scopa. That's what Gertner says. You see? I want to show you what happens with this Scopa, because it's very important. And this apparatus. Here is a letter that is written to the National Treasury on the 3rd of October 2023. This is after we had a visit in our offices by Scopa. And then immediately after we had released, I think in September, the amendment bill, they then write a letter, now to the National Treasury. But I want to tell you more about Scopa than anything else in this letter. Since our presentation to the RAF has been in the news for a myriad of reasons, from the RAF board and his CEO being ordered to personally pay legal costs. You must remember that legal cost thing that Logodi did in Mpumalanga. Must not forget it. Where he slapped us with personal cost orders when we had nothing to do with the matter. It was overturned in the SCA. Introducing measures challenging litigation, recognized legal principles, whatever they are saying. But most notably was a recent visit by members of Scopa to RAF. All these things people say, being published in Parliament website about their findings, then they raise to say the RAF offices are not conducive for working is an understatement. Why RAF is in the public domain for the wrong reasons, we have experienced it today. Now we have recognized the magnitude of its problem. The AG does not even want to touch RAF because there is no integrity in doing so. How? I've just shown you what the AG says about us. Just shown you. They say these things. But they are using these things to achieve a certain thing. You must remember the issue about the phantom liability. You are going to see it rearing its ugly head here. Then they say, refusal to let members of Scopa to conduct oversight over it constitute a violation of the Constitution and is engaged of something untoward going on at RAF. I don't know whether they have got an objective test that is better than that of the AG, but nevertheless, here is the part. Number 7. You see, they say, Mr. Tlangwa went on to suggest maybe there needs to be a forensic investigation on financial management of the RAF, unveil what lies in its messy affairs, because the great risk of RAF is RAF itself. Deputy Minister would like to get the report on RAF efficacy in 30 days because what is going on at RAF is a national disaster. This is UPRAF. What are they using? The words of the then chairperson of Scopa, who is now a deputy minister. Now, look at what they say. Neither the RAF nor the Department of Transport made any mention when they indeed busy settling a draft bill that intends to address the RAF dismal performance. Scopa's concerns. They are speaking on behalf of Scopa. Here. 5. They continue. You see that those two men, they are Gertnel and his associate. They are always at Scopa. You must see them. They are always at Scopa. And those ones that you saw them in the picture there with them, they always ask questions that don't make sense to us. They never ask, hey, these thieves that stole 1.2 billion, what is happening to them? Never. They never do that. But it is our respectful submission that the bill was kept from Scopa, as it would have most certainly been met with same contempt expressed by public, and since it was published, as it offends the Constitution in almost every amended section hereof, and is a clear attempt to limit oversight of Scopa, amongst others, and legitimate RAF recent failures in court and assuming itself power to create subordinate legislation. They don't know anything about themselves. They're talking about Scopa. But here's the thing. Number 10. Experience has taught that a lot of taxpayers' money and parliamentary time would be saved by timeously providing the relevant information, allowing for clear and concise input, commentary, and participation. Who is this guy? He's not elected by anyone, this Gertner. Because it's him. It's his company. This organization is his. Especially on funding model to be applied. The source of the funding for this bill, how the dual funding will be managed, the RAF Act versus the bill, since the claims in terms of RAF will take 5 years to process and the fuel levy is the source of funding by law, and the long-term implications of the fiscals and most important, the impact on the public. Do you see that fake liability is coming back? Because we are saying, let's fix this. There is no need for duality here. They want it back. Now, you would see it that they continue to talk about Scopa and all that. And I think for me, that must tell you the story. So, we have given you a sense. And I think it was difficult last night to actually go through these things and try to make this thing condensed into what you would see as this capture, what you would see at this attack, what you would see at this corruption that is going on, and what you would see as people closing rank. Simply closing rank. This video was out. It has been out there in social media for a very long time. They're just ignoring it like, no, it doesn't exist and all that. As people continue as they wish. Imagine if there was a video like this about a Collins Letsoalo. I'm sure, I'll be buried by now. So, the reality is this. We have a problem, South Africa. And some of us are going to stand up for the truth. No matter the cost. If at the end of the day I'm no longer a CEO of RAF, then let it be. Why? Because I want to tell the truth. Why? Because we have saved 50 billion and we've taken it away from people that looting. Why? Because we changed a liability that was going to discovery of 250 billion arrangement. And they must do it again. By the way, they've gone back to say, we are now going to this dual thing. We receive a letter from the Deputy Minister somewhere in the middle of March that says, we have decided to change, to go back and abandon the amendment bill. And we said, why are you abandoning the amendment bill? They have never met with us. Never. Never. When they decided that thing on the 30th, they never met with us. So who is busy feeding them these things? But I can assure you, they've met Gertner. I can assure you, they have met the Bureau of Healthcare Funders. I can assure you, they have met Paul Belsky. I can assure you, they have met everyone else except the people that are running the RAF. Then they come with things that changes the system. When the 6th administration had said to us, deal with these things in this way, we did not send ourselves to RAF. We didn't. We didn't just wake up one day and walk out of Department of Transport and I find myself as acting CEO at RAF. I was called. And I was convinced. And I was told that you are going to be given support because I said, are you going to support me, Minister? And Minister Mbaula said, you are going to get our support. Fully so. There's no question about it. Well, you are not even at liberty to ask such a question. And I said, it's because of my experiences that I'm asking that question. He says, no, we are going to support you. We have not got the support. Instead, this bill is sitting in the department. There is I think the second one is what? It's the actuarial calculator is sitting there. The tariffs, the medical tariffs are sitting there in the department. The limitation to the funeral benefit is sitting in the department. Right? Any challenge that we have, things are sitting in there. And they never move an inch. And they've never met with us. So the question must be, who are they listening to? Who are they listening to? Suddenly these ones that we found, the CFO, the acting CFO that we found there, the guy of duplicate payments, no thing, all those guys are now suddenly whistleblowers. Someone says, no, you know, my what do they call it? My email is full with this from RAF. This is the chairperson of Scopa. And then he runs around telling people, give me information. Why doesn't he use the one he has? Why doesn't he use the one he has? So we are not going to sit here at BM aligned like this. By the way, we hear that people are now asking about where our bank accounts are. The Deputy Minister is asking about the bank accounts of the RAF and where we bank our money. The AG knows where we bank our money. Why does he want to know? To do what with that information? So that he can tell his lawyer friend to go and attach the money where it is. Right? So we are not going to accept that. But if we do, in any event, we must say this to ourselves as South Africans, that we will continue with this perpetual way of not turning around the RAF, because people are not serious about it. They must not pay lip service to it. We have asked for this bill to be done, and we said quickly. They are saying they are bringing RAPs back, and that will be in 2930. Because what are they waiting for? They want to bulk up the liability again. They have now been telling us that the liability is now 422 billion, which we don't know where they get it from in terms of the calculations. So it is the battle for the 300 billion liability. There's nothing else. So you will see us out here because we were on special leave when we can't go to Cape Town. But we are put on suspension because we were not in Cape Town, or we were not at the Scopa hearing because I was in Cape Town. So we are ready to go to the PCOT to make our submissions. We are ready for any inquiry, by the way. I know they won't call that inquiry. They're going to come with a story of anything. They must bring that inquiry. We must face our accusers. They must come there and say, Letsoalo, we have done the following. And I must also cross-examine them so that they must come and say those things they're saying. So we are undeterred. If we have got to starve my brother, we are going to starve. But it doesn't matter to us. Yes. It doesn't matter to us. We know Rome was never built in one day. We choose to be the Mandelas. If it takes us 27 years, let it be. But we are undeterred. And we know people are going to say, no, they're arrogant. They say I'm arrogant when I say I'm good at what I do. Yes, I am. Show me someone who has saved 50 billion. Show me. Show me. You had various, my predecessors. Go and check their performance and my performance. And then you do the calculations. What are you scared of? The 360. Release the 360 outcome. What is it saying? Is it not something that you thought that it will come and say something you don't like? By the way, lawyers went into my 360. They did the 360. Everyone was called. All and sundry, come and assess this guy. I've been assessed. Let them release the 360. Why are they not releasing it? It's state money that they used. They've been releasing stuff. They are even releasing the information about my security. But they don't want to release the 360. Let them release the 360. Let them release all this information that I'm telling about. The resolutions of the 27th of February, the resolutions of the 29th of April, and all these things. They must release them so that you know about them. They must release the minutes of the 27th. They must release all these minutes so that people must know and count for themselves. We are not scared. I'm not. So let's face it head on. What are they going to do? What? I've got more than 1,000, what do they call it? Contempt of court. 180 of them are brought by a company called Sprite Incorporated. They go in front of the DJP of Gauteng here, and then the DJP is told, no, condense them into one. And he says, no, we'll deal with them as they come. And then he complains about the cost being clocked. Some of them say to me, you are notorious. When I meet them, my bosses, they say, no, you're just notorious. Notorious for what? For telling the truth. Calling me notorious. I don't care. But what you are not going to do is malign my name. That's the only thing I have. Integrity. I don't have a big chunk. I'm not a guy with a silver spoon. I come from Sishio. That's where I come from. So I'm undeterred. So if the battle is coming, let's have that battle. But I'm telling you, why I'm showing you this, where this comes from. From the 2020, we have a litany of these things, where judge presidents walk with files and they take them home. And when the matters must be heard, they say the judge president has left with the file. What is he doing with it? When it's allocated already. So we have a lot. We can't push it, my brother, in a short space of time. But let's hear what the questions will be. Thank you.
Thank you so much.